In a quiet village nestled between gentle hills and silver streams, there lived a boy named Ammon, whose eyes held the sparkle of curiosity and whose spirit danced like the monsoon wind through the rice fields. He was 10 years old and filled with dreams far larger than his modest thatched roof house or the sleepy pace of his village could contain. But despite the lack of material wealth, Ammon was rich in wonder, constantly exploring the woods, listening to the whispers of trees, and crafting small inventions with stones, sticks, and anything discarded, believing that even the most broken things could become something beautiful. And though he had no siblings and his parents worked long hours in the fields, Ammon was never truly alone. His companions were the birds, the insects neolies, the clouds above, and the old radio he'd fixed using copper wire and an old battery on which he listened to tales of inventors and dreamers, stories that seemed to speak directly to his heart, fueling the fire inside him that wanted to create, to understand, and to someday give back to the world more than he had received. His teacher, Miss Lila, recognized this spark and began giving him extra books, dog-eared and weathered, but treasures nonetheless, filled with strange words and fascinating diagrams, and Ammon devoured them eagerly, sitting late into the night beneath the single dim bulb that hung from the bamboo ceiling, imagining worlds beyond his own, worlds where ideas turned into machines and machines changed lives. One day, while wandering near the village pond, he found a broken water wheel half submerged in the mud, moss-covered and forgotten, and his mind immediately began to spin. What if he could fix it, improve it, and use it to draw water for the villagers during the dry season? When the well dried up and people had to walk miles to fetch water in heavy pots, balanced on their heads, and so began his first true project, gathering parts from old bicycles, tin sheets from discarded cans, using the wooden planks he salvaged from a collapsed shed, Jesus as Ophios. And every day after school, he worked with quiet focus, his fingers blistered, his nails caked with mud, but his heart brimming with purpose. The other children laughed at him at first, calling him a scrap boy. He had no time to explain, only time to build, to test, to fail, and to try again. And after nearly 2 months of sweat and trial, the wheel began to spin again, drawing up water from the pond and feeding a narrow channel that carried water straight into the heart of the village. Saving hours of work and bringing joy to the women and elders who no longer had to make long treks under the sun. And suddenly, a scrap boy became Ammon the inventor, and people looked at him differently, with a blend of pride and awe. But he didn't let it go to his head. He simply smiled and said, "There's more to fix," because he had already begun dreaming of a windmill on the hill to power lanterns in homes at night, and a simple water purifier to keep the children from falling sick during monsoon. His journey wasn't without its stumbles. There were moments of doubt, of tools breaking, of designs failing miserably, of harsh words from adults who didn't believe in a child's ability to change the world. But Ammon persisted, buoyed by the quiet strength of Miss Lila and the memory of his grandfather, who used to say that the smallest seeds, when watered with hope and work, become the tallest trees. And so he planted his dreams like seeds, one after the other, watching as they sprouted, not just in machines, but in the minds of the other children who began asking questions, tinkering, helping, and soon the village school had a corner filled with inventions, hand-cranked fans, pulley systems, bamboo toy robots. And Miss Lila called it the Idea Corner, where creativity was nurtured like a sacred fire. As years passed, Aman grew, and so did his ambitions. He began writing to engineers in cities, sending them sketches, getting feedback, improving designs, and one day, A solar technology company sent a representative to visit him after seeing a viral photo online of a solar oven he'd built using mirrors and mud. And that visit turned into a scholarship, a chance to study in the city. And though it meant leaving behind the hills, the streams, and the banyan tree under which he'd first drawn a schematic with a stick in the dust, Ammon knew he had to go, not just for himself, but for the children watching him with wide eyes, waiting to believe that they too could go farther than anyone imagined. City life was fast, loud, and lonely at times, but Ammon thrived, diving deep into books, learning coding, physics, mechanics, and even starting a small YouTube channel to teach kids from villages how to build simple tools using scrap, bottle lights, pedal-powered fans, and even low-cost hearing aids using recycled headphones. And his videos, shot from a borrowed phone and edited in internet cafes, began gaining traction. Santuvki, inspiring children from places as remote as the one he came from. And though the journey was hard, balancing studies, jobs, and the ache of homesickness, he never wavered in his mission to create for those who needed it most. He graduated with honors, received offers from big companies, but chose instead to return to his village, bringing with him not just knowledge, but solar panels, educational kits, and a small team of like-minded engineers who believed in innovation with heart. And together, they built a community lab, trained local youth, and slowly transformed Banipur into a model village, self-sustained, educated, and empowered. Years later, as a grown man standing beneath the same banyan tree, Ammon watched as a little girl showed her friends how to use a wind-up flashlight she'd built. And he smiled, knowing, that the legacy of wonder, of building, of dreaming would continue. Because once a child believes they can shape the world, no force can stop them. Not poverty, not mockery, not even the weight of impossibility. An Ammon's story, whispered across classrooms and told beside cooking fires, became not just a tale of one boy's journey, but a movement, proving that true invention begins not in labs, but in hearts brave enough to believe, hands willing to try, and minds open to seeing greatness in scrap.